Good evening. Welcome to our post-debate analysis from person that I just it is live. Shout out to Mikhail Shapiro, who did our effects for us. But my name again is Ebony Johnson. I moderated tonight's debate. Dr. Bruce Strobel was on tech, and Dr. Mutor Flo was on time and helping with audience Q&A. We are the three GDL commissioners. Professor AJ Lowe was debating tonight, so you will not see him in this post-debate analysis. We're here to break down the performance, and then also we will ultimately announce the winner as well. So GDL16, Black people exaggerate their experience of racism in the United States. Justin Wilson was arguing the affirmative, and Professor AJ Lowe argued the negative. What were y'all thoughts looking at it?
So, if y'all don't mind, I'll go first.
Yeah.
Much closer debate than I anticipated. I thought this was going to be a blowout, but I thought, particularly in the lightning round, Justin was very sly. He was able to turn the debate into a circular argument about where he was just able to dismiss things and then say, well, and kind of make it seem that AJ didn't have his facts mastered, particularly that part about Richard Spencer supporting Biden, and AJ challenged him on it, and it turned out to be true. So the AJ calls him to say, well, show me, and then he shows you. So that got away from what the real argument should have been about, and they went on for like that for some time, a good portion of the lightning round, where I really was thinking that AJ, being experienced, would really go in for the kill there. But outside of that, from the Q&A and the closing statements, AJ was superb. But just losing some of that time in the lightning round, I thought, made this a lot closer than it needed to be.
So I'm going to agree with Bruce for the opening statement. AJ definitely won because he presented facts for his argument. For the lightning round, I actually believe AJ lost the lightning round because he got, like Bruce said, he got sidetracked in talking about things that were tangential to the actual argument at hand. If he'd have just kept on, hey, what is, how do we exaggerate racism? If he just kept on throwing facts at him, saying, hey, well, this is disproportionate, this is structural racism, this is how this institutional racism works, then he would have had no argument. Justin would have had no argument against that.
Yeah.
When it comes to the closing statement and the questions, AJ did better than Justin on that as well.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel you similarly. I feel, though, I will say in the lightning round, I felt like one of the things is I felt, though, Justin allowed AJ to lead the lightning round. And so, so in that way, I won't say I don't feel that AJ lost because he didn't have a position to defend. Justin did. And he led, even though that's what he chose, how AJ chose to lead that round is talk about, people being white supremacists and whatnot. Justin still didn't come with a strong argument of a lot of experiences of exaggeration. So from a technical standpoint, I don't see Justin winning the lightning round because he just basically, AJ led that portion of the debate, even though it can be argued that he should have focused on, like you said, Mutor gave maybe more instances where look at all of these things where, we're rooted and grounded and centered around racism. So how could it be an exaggeration? He did say some of those things, but just giving up a lot of time to talk about, well, is this person racist and Donald Trump? I agree there. But I do think overall that Professor AJ pulled out the stronger performance with having various statistics that he was able to present, and then also just pushing his issue. But just reiterating from a debate standpoint, it was Justin's burden to bear of defending the premise that Black people are in fact exaggerating their experience of racism.
No, I agree. And so there were a number of opportunities for AJ, at least during the lightning round and some of the rebuttals during the Q&A, where he could have pushed back on what looks to be very white supremacist, internalized racist narratives that were coming out of Justin. So he compared, incoming immigrants, most notably the Nigerian Americans who are doing well in America. And so this is a it's just a false comparison. All right, one group of Africans have dealt with chattel slavery and a whole host of other institutional and structural barriers, whereas Nigerian Americans, those who are coming over, tend to be from a wealthier upper class. They also tend to be more educated, higher educated, with master's degrees, doctorates, things of that nature. So when they come over, they already have a leg up. Now, the second and third generation of those Nigerian Americans and most other immigrants that are minorities, once they grow up in the American system as minorities, somehow their level of entrepreneurship and other success factors go down because of the weight and pressures that they have experienced by living in a racist society. So making that comparison was totally incorrect. And I would like to answer the environmental racism question, but Bruce is much more knowledgeable about that one.
Yeah,
Go for it.
That question was probably Justin's hugest fail and would really hurt his subject matter expertise score, in my opinion. When asked about environmental racism, he started talking about Black people wanted it, and it was in rap music. And I was like, that has nothing to do with lead in the water and pollution in the air. He completely bombed that question. And, that's a question that it's something that you have to know about or you just don't know. And ultimately, I would like to talk to him about it, first of all, because I don't think you want to go around spewing that kind of incorrect nonsense. But other than that, right? Not just other than that, other than those few instances, just from a debate standpoint only, not if I agree with what he was saying or not, Justin was doing some very clever things out there, right? He was saying, here are examples of Black people exaggerating racism. AJ's counter was to say that's only 400, right? But if the premise is, do Black people, and they didn't set parameters on how many Black people he needed to prove do it, exaggerate racism, he's given some good examples of Black people, for lack of a better term, making racism appear.
So I guess I would push back on that only because.
Go ahead.
Only because the examples he gave were anecdotal evidences kind of things that the media pushed. Fair enough. We're not talking about the day-to-day lived experience of Black people and the numbers aggregated that show definitively that racism, structural, institutional, and personal, is still there. And so, if he tells me just, Juicy Smollett or whatever his name is, faked being, robbed in Chicago at night, which sounds completely ridiculous by white men wearing Trump hats. Well, that doesn't really make a difference to me.
It doesn't. It's insignificant.
Yeah. So like going to some other things that he said that was actually wrong, Justin, when he talked about the Proud Boys not being a racist organization. So just because your leadership position has a token Black person at the top spot does not negate the actual organization from being a white supremacist organization. Furthermore, the Southern Poverty Law Center has designated the Proud Boys as a racist white supremacist organization.
Here was the biggest miss for AJ that I thought he fumbled this, right? Justin handed it to him. Justin made an argument, and he stayed on this line that police brutality and police contact with Black people at the rate that it's at, being higher than anyone else, was justified because Blacks committed so many murders. So let's assume that were the case, right? That Blacks commit so many murders that the police target all Black people. That is racism. I don't think people understand that, right? But based off the definition that they use, prejudice against people because of the color of their skin. So if you're prejudiced against a group of people because some people in that group do something wrong and you prejudge the entire group, in the definition of racism that they chose for this debate, that would fit under that category. And I thought AJ let that go without questioning it. But I think that's a nuanced point you would have to catch in their debate.
Yeah, I agree.
It'll be, Bruce, do we have some feedback? Are we ready to share any feedback from the scorecards? From a factual standpoint, Professor AJ was definitely very much stronger. He provided facts from the beginning until the end.
Right.
Even during the Q&A, during the lightning round, definitely his opening statement and his closing statement. He hit facts extremely hard. And then he did, ask specifically about cases with George Floyd, et cetera. I do feel that from a persuasive standpoint, sometimes some people are persuaded by a lot of facts, and some people do need more stories that they can personally relate to from a persuasive standpoint. And there were situations that I feel as though perhaps Professor AJ could have relate to from a persuasive standpoint. And there were situations that I feel as though perhaps Professor AJ could have relate to. Okay, I heard some. We all right? I heard something.
Yeah.
Okay. But I, from that standpoint, I think it could have been perhaps more persuasive with certain.
So I would have also liked for AJ to lay off on, hey, come to my class, you learn something, and just kind of debate the topic, because I don't think that would help. I don't think that helped his argument at all when he kept saying that. And I learned from a previous debate, don't talk about your credentials, because if Justin was a little bit quicker with that, he could have been like, it doesn't matter, I'm still saying this, and this is right, whether or not you are a historian or whether or not you're a professor. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, it was definitely an interesting debate. It was a little bit more closer than I thought it should be, but
so with four judges cards in already, we have it at 100% for AJ Lowe, which is expected based off the pre-debate poll, based off their performances tonight. So I think AJ, he got the job done, particularly by delivering facts consistently throughout the debate. I think in terms of persuasiveness, it speaks to what Mew was just saying. They start lauding credentials and asking them to come to class, and that's wasting time in your debate rather than making your argument. So I think AJ, he normally talks about going for the kill. That's a part of his debate mentality, and I think he missed that opportunity by maybe he got frustrated just being disappointed in some of the things that Justin was sharing. And you have to be able to separate yourself from that. This is some of the scores for AJ. He got a 16 on one card. That's combining all scores together. His low, somebody gave him a full 20. I don't think we've seen a full 20 score yet. So that's good. Let's see. Justin got an 11, a 13, 210 so far. Let's see how people are looking at rebuttal. Justin Wilson, mostly poor on his rebuttals. AJ's net got proficient and one superior. Elocution, we see AJ got one superior and one poor for AJ. Here we see elocution for Justin. So Justin actually did better in elocution, which I agree with.
I agree too.
Yeah, here we go. Fact-based, AJ does proficient. Justin mostly not fact-based, I agree. And then subject matter expertise. Yeah, something Justin did not have. You can see AJ spread between proficient and superior. And then fact-based. AJ fact-based, that's his highest rating, and Justin was not fact-based. So we'll see as more scores come in, as people are working on those scores. Please, if you're watching, please fill out one of the scorecards. It helps us get a better, it helps our debaters as well get a great idea of how they performed.
One of the, Janisa Lachey said that she could see AJ's frustrations distract him. That he let his frustrations distract him. I think it's one of those. It's a topic that we're so so close to that, and especially that is true though with him being a historian and studying lynch culture in America. It would be tough for him not to have some strong emotions and feelings about this. So
yeah, I just thought it was
how he feels himself personally, especially how closely tied he is to the subject matter himself, how he feels personally about his performance.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree, and I just thought it was interesting when asked, hey, since the '60s, has racism still been a thing? And you could have easily just said, hey, mass incarceration,
Yeah.
like, like easily that mass incarceration,
Right.
He did bring
the
that
crack
up.
cocaine epidemic.
He did bring up the mass incarceration,
He brought up
Yeah.
redlining. Yeah.
but it was
Yeah.
he did bring that up, but not. I know what you're saying. He didn't bring it up exactly in that exchange mutual that you're referring to, but he did bring it up during the debate.
Yeah. At the end of the day, good job to both debaters, even though I completely vehemently disagree with Justin Wilson's approach, or not so much his approach, his argument.
Me too.
I thought he did a good job. I do want to put it on the record that I believe everything he said was absolutely unfactual, if that's a word.
And we encourage people to participate in the debate. We've provided a forum where people can sign up. It was Justin's first time debating with the debate league, and so we are glad that he joined us and held his position to debate tonight. The whole purpose and premises of us even having this platform is so that there will be a critical exchange of ideas. And so we invite anyone, even if you've never debated before, we do provide an outline and information for the structure of the debate. And before each debate, we agree to the premise and the terms and negotiations. So there is a whole process and structure behind it where you'll be able to know how it flows, and you can put your hat in the ring and go for it. We do, Bruce, any changes?
There have so far not enough cards have come in. So if it stays as is for the time being, I would give AJ 4-0 victory over Justin.
All right. Well, I'm gonna say congratulations because we're at the end. We're at the end of our show, so congratulations to Professor AJ Lowe for winning the debate tonight 4-0. We invite you to tune in the next couple of weeks. On April the 15th, we will have our first debate with two high schoolers. We'll be debating in 2 weeks, so that's April the 15th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we invite you to tune in for that debate. We're all excited about that because this is the first time that we'll have two high schoolers debate.
Hey, that's going to be nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting ready to head out of here. Another great debate. Be here for the next date, but don't be late. All right. Any closing remarks, y'all, before we hang them up?
No,
that's it.
All right, my people.
Everybody, thank y'all for watching. We appreciate your participation.
Remember to speak the truth. Peace.